You're the jingle guy, Charlie.
I didn't even know that I had a jingle guy. Have I been... Okay, hold on. I can be a jingle guy. I can be a jingle guy.
You are jingle guy.
Okay, wait. I'm going to get the jingles ready. I
We're
need to
live.
get the
We are
jingles in.
Thanks for joining us.
How's everyone doing? Thanks for tuning back in. We had some technical issues earlier on.
No technical issues tonight, though.
Hell no.
The government are off the telly. They've made way for us. We've had a note from Boris saying he's feeling a bit rough, so he's going to let us take over tonight.
Is he? Of course, he's got it. I thought that was a bit of a joke. Just remembered he's actually
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, boss is poorly.
I'm coming straight in for the Tash. If anyone hasn't noticed yet, straight in with the props for the Tash.
I was having dinner earlier and I was like, you know what? I was saying to my partner, Leanne, I was like, I've got an idea that is just going to brighten up our week. And I just went upstairs, got it all off, and every time I look in the mirror, I just smile. It's just great. And I look like an 80s cop.
You do indeed.
Exactly it.
I kind of like it.
I really like it. I think you should stay with it.
I don't know how Leanne, what she thinks of it, but doesn't matter.
Well, we love it.
We love it.
I
feel like I might play you the theme tune.
Go on, then.
Just gonna
Get your jingle
now. Oh, hold on, I've got the wrong one loaded.
Oh.
You got my jingle yet?
What's your jingle?
Oh,
Hold on.
well, that doesn't bode well, does it?
Thanks to everyone for joining us. This is night 8 or something that we've been doing this now. It's been a crazy week so far. We've been up to a lot. We've had a lot of guests on. We did a little post today thanking everyone for that's been on the show so far, and it was amazing to see how many people would. It's only when you see it written down.
Yeah, I was reading it earlier, and I couldn't believe how many people had been on in a week. Like,
yeah, crazy.
Ridiculous. So many great people as well.
Can you hear that?
Could come up a little bit.
Come up. One sec. How's that? Bit more?
Yeah, bit more.
Bit more. It could be pumping.
Bit more.
That's better.
We can't go outside, we've got to stay in. If together we fight, then this thing will win. So grab yourself a beer, and grab yourself some grub, and sit down with us at the virtual pub.
Oi.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice and clear. Thanks for joining us. If you're just joining us, you're locked in for another Sunday night session. We've got some cool things coming up tonight. We've got Emma Pick sat backstage, ready and raring to go. We've also got our mental health chat straight after this. So we've got Tom Chapman from the Lions Barber Collective coming on. We're going to be having a natter. We're going to be inviting guests in. If people want to kind of come and get involved with the chat, then by all means do. You don't have to come on with your face. If you just want to come on and just
oh man, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. That never normally happens.
I was on a roll then.
That never happened to me before. Sorry.
Going back to the top of the list. Let's go back to the top of the talking points. How was everyone's day?
How was everyone's day? Sam, you made bread today, didn't you?
I made bread
How
successfully
was that?
for the first
And how
time
did it
ever.
go?
It did go. It was pretty good. It was a little bit cakey, but like Luca and I had a little chat afterwards. So I got the El Capitan tips on it, and I think the main thing is I made bread, and I'm now obsessed with it, and I'm going to make bread every day until that 10 kilos of flour or whatever it is that I've got in there has gone. So
is it 00 flour, just normal flour? Because I've got loads of 00 now.
It was plain flour that I used, and I don't know if that made a difference, but
no, it's fine. That's what the baby gets out of plain flour.
How big did it get? Because you were slightly concerned about the rate it was growing at one point, weren't you?
Yeah, well, I left it to rise in the sun, gentlemen. I left it to rise in the sun.
It's a bit strange.
Yeah, it got way too big, way too quickly. So I had to try and cool it down, stop it growing so much.
Was the your measuring skills on converting ounces to grams, wasn't that a bit of an issue with the yeast? Because when Lucas said you just need a teaspoon and a half, you sort of your face lit up a little bit as if maybe you'd put in a tad more.
Yeah, I think I might have got the ratios a little bit wrong, but to be honest, it was a trial run. I was giving it a go. I think if I do it again, I'm going to be a little bit more careful with the measurements. But ultimately, it was bread. It was a little bit cakey, like I say, but I made a baguette out of it. If anyone wants to see it, it's on my Instagram, and it was delightful.
I was just about to ask you to get your baguette out. Come on,
it's on my Instagram now. Follow Man Like Squid. Actually, there's no chance of people getting that. The way I've spelled it. It's mental. In fact, don't bother following my Instagram. Just follow the Virtual Pub online on Instagram, and obviously follow us here on Facebook as well. Right.
On followers, how many have we had today? We are now hitting the 3,500 mark.
Yeah, we're sitting around 3.5K, which is mental. We're 8 days in now, and yeah,
Thank you so much.
My prediction still stands: 10K by the end of April. What are you guys saying?
End of April has ages away. Yeah,
a long time away. Yeah.
Why not?
That would be nice to grow the community to that, especially after today's chat. I really enjoyed it. We had it's been a bit of a mental health campaign. We do that every Sunday. We will be doing that every Sunday, at least. I think that's going to be the common Sunday theme. Gary was amazing. Sadly, we had a couple of technicality issues with his, I think it was his signal ultimately, and also the time of day. So we are going to record it and then just release the video live. And if you have any questions surrounding mental health, anxiety, or just want some tips on how to pass or get past a certain aspect of something that's causing you a bit of impedance in your life, then send us your questions and we'll ask Gary on our video and make sure they're all covered. So yeah, get in contact, get send in, and get liking. Thank you.
Thanks for all the comments coming in. There's a lot of love coming in. A lot of love for the new mustache, Luca. I think people are a big fan of that. A lot of love.
I think the Tash is going to be around for a while, if you get what I'm saying.
Is it taking over from the bricks?
Yeah, it's going to be the new people's favourite. The people's favourite so far has definitely been Sharpie's brick background, but I think the mustache could be the new biggest feature in the show. I
feel like it needs a little nickname, like, I don't know.
Brian Loudon.
Brian Loudon. You're Brian and I'm Barry.
Yeah.
Barry Loudon.
It's worth mentioning as well, guys, we are streaming live to YouTube at the moment. So if you've got friends or family or anybody that you think might be interested that doesn't have access to Facebook, we are streaming live on YouTube. I'm going to drop the link in the comments right now. So feel free to share the link around. Yeah. Here we go. There's the link.
Is there a fly in the house? I can hear a fly.
There is a bit of a buzzing.
Yeah, go on. Explain the fly noise, Luca.
I can't. If any of you guys can guess what that noise is, I'll send a personal prize.
I'll tell you what, that's the competition for the Tonight Show. If we'll get Emma on. If you can identify the fly sounding noise. Now it's not a fly. Let's not be obvious about it. But if you can figure it out, I will personally. We've got loads of prizes in the bag.
That's two prizes then. If it's two personal prizes,
fair enough.
Are you allowed to send sourdough in the post? Because your sourdoughs are off the chain.
Oh,
I could do that.
Oh, that's a masterclass.
That is a masterclass, mate. You did like a 48-hour stream.
Well, we're all locked down indefinitely.
I think that's a masterclass for another time, unfortunately.
Yeah,
guys, let's talk about This Pub's Got Talent. What night did night did we put aside for that?
Thursday night.
Thursday night. Yeah. So,
where's it?
Well, you might have guessed, but just like the famous TV show, This Pub's Got Talent, it's going to be the same. So not just open to musicians, anyone with any talent that they think is worth sharing, that we think we can broadcast. Get involved. Send us some inboxes or in the comments. Even if you've got any videos of any performances or any acts or any talents you've got, send them to us and we'll have a look and we'll get you on the show.
And Thursday it really is the sorry, Nick, it's the perfect way if you want to come and play an evening set here, like a half hour set. Come and join in on This Pub's Got Talent. It's a great platform to spread your music and to get onto the show.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
and there's no Simon Cowles. There's no Simon Cowles with.
There's no big
no from me.
But I would like to hear some solo musicians, just playing the instruments that they love so much. I'd really like that, like some piano. I'd like to hear some pianists personally, and some sax. If we've got anyone that plays sax, please put it up.
Where did we see a sax the other day? Someone had a sax in the background.
Owen Penrose.
Owen, of course it was Owen. Of course it was it.
Owen, if you're listening, get it on.
There's quite a few people booked in for that already. Actually, Thursday. I'm speaking to the guys that are going to be helping us run it, and yeah, there's quite a few people booked in. So yeah, if you do want to get in for next Thursday, drop us a message. If you drop us a message on the Facebook page, actually, and you mention the word booking in your inquiry, then it will send you a Google form to fill in. You can fill that form in. That'll come straight through to us, and we can get you booked in for Thursday.
Sick.
Yeah.
I got a random question for you, Nick.
Yes.
Go on.
This is
Please.
a bit random. What, mate? What's the laziest thing you've ever eaten in isolation?
Laziest thing in isolation.
You must have had some like prison noodles in the kettle or something.
I mean, I've still got saucepans. I didn't need to just whack them in the kettle.
Well, you know, when you're in isolation, things go a bit mad. You're like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it in the kettle because things are weird right now.
I can. No, I don't know. Probably, I think I've just a bit of cheese. Maybe that's probably as lazy as it gets. I've not been too bad.
It depends how you ate it. If you just bit into a block of cheddar, that's pretty lazy.
From the fridge,
I did slice a bit off. No, but I mean, you didn't say it had to be quirky. I don't think I've gone particularly bonkers with food. Why? You're acting as if you've got some crazy stories to tell.
Charlie,
what have you been up to?
me.
I ate a pot noodle today.
Oh yeah, that's
I
the
had
one
a
we
pot
saw,
noodle today as well.
I'll be honest with you, it made me feel like utter rubbish.
Yeah,
after it.
me.
And did you know that beef and tomato are the only vegan pot noodle, ironically?
I do.
Who knew?
You
I-
told me earlier.
I had the green one, and it like smells like your nan's living room. It's really weird.
That's the
What
one,
does-
though, the green one. Chicken and mushroom all the way.
Nah.
No,
Oh.
beef and
Not
Is your
tomato.
nan watching? Is your nan aware that you've just said that her living room smells like a chicken and mushroom pot noodle?
Yeah, I thought yours was going to smell like some incredible fresh pasta or a ragu or something, but no, pot noodle.
Garlic frying in beautiful olive oil.
Yeah, very garlicky. I'd
And
have thought.
cherry tomatoes all mashed up. But no, your nan
Sam?
smells.
It's a pot
Laziest
noodle.
thing you've ever eaten?
Living room, sorry, not your nan smells. Run away. Right, back to the
Actually,
topic.
a few of our business meetings that we've had, we've witnessed Sam eating a few
Yeah, my thing
different
that I eat
combos. Marmalade
thing
on
that I eat-
everything.
pretty much every night when after the show, I get on the FaceTime to you guys and I eat a piece of toast with a lot of peanut
Oh my
butter
god, yeah.
and a load of marmalade.
A
That's
lot
pretty
of
lazy.
butter.
It's pretty lazy food. Big shout out to Megs coming in from HMP, which I assume means Her Majesty's Prison.
Go on.
Which I know she's not in prison. Presumably she's working.
She's
working
really
out
on
of
lockdown.
prison.
Meg's literally eating prison food.
Yeah. Right. There's quite a few comments coming in saying, "Where's Emma? Can we talk about Emma? Who the hell are these guys?" Those type of comments that we love getting.
Our favourites.
So, guys, where did we first hear of Emma? I think we've all got the same story, haven't we?
Rob, wow. I personally heard it from Rob Hunt, but I know you guys have got a different story.
Yeah,
One thing
I
I do know,
saw,
she's incredible.
Yeah, I saw her busking in Torquay and she stopped me in my tracks. Her voice is just amazing.
It's
Yeah.
memorable, isn't it?
I had
Really,
the
really.
exact same story. Strolling through town one day, headphones in even, and I heard the voice of an angel echoing out over the high street. And I took my headphones out, and it was Emma. And since then, I've seen her quite a few times. Never kind of live, like in a venue, but can't say I'm not looking forward to the set tonight. It's going to be a good one.
Yeah,
I-
absolutely.
I've not actually seen her out live, but I've become a complete fanboy today. And since my partner Justine, she's seen her on street. She used to see her outside H&M. She used to stop and listen to her on her lunch breaks. But I've since become a complete fanboy, and I've listened to everything she's got online. She did a song in 2012, 2013, which we'll talk about in a minute. I think I'm going to ask her the name of it. I think it was called Tramp. Pretty sure. We're going to ask her when she comes on because it's a really, really beautiful song, and hopefully she plays it tonight. Hopefully.
Well, guys, we've just hit all of our talking points bang on for quarter past, which is when we said we were going to bring Emma in. So, seeing as we've been so professional, shall we celebrate by bringing Emma in?
Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, in the comments,
Yes.
make some noise in the comments by doing the clapping emojis and the boogieing emojis and the happy face emojis. And then, boys in the stream, let's make some noise for Emma Pick, everybody.
The virtual pub.
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us, Emma. Nice to have you.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, thanks for coming on.
There's a lot of excited people here tonight, Emma.
Mitch Pike, really looking forward to this one. Emma's so great. Awesome song choices always too. Oh, that's good. You got a lot of love. Wow, it's going
And
off.
yay,
is.
go Ems. Loads of claps. Go Emma.
Yeah.
Love Emma.
Yeah, nice.
Charlene Ball.
All the love coming in.
I want to see emojis flying through the skies.
They are. They're going mad.
Emma, so what have you got? What have you got lined up for us? How many songs are we getting from you tonight?
I've got 5 originals for you.
Yes.
Amazing.
I
That's what
heard,
we
heard
like.
you talking about Tramp.
Yeah. Are you playing it tonight? Was that one of your own?
I haven't played it in a long time, but I'm going to give it a go now.
Yeah.
Please do. It's a really beautiful song. Really, really beautiful song. I loved it. Really,
Oh,
really
thank you.
good.
So, Emma, you might have heard us just then talking about quite a few of us have seen you kind of busking around the Bay Area over the last kind of couple of years. Is that something that you do kind of? Is that something before obviously the lockdown? Is that something that you were doing quite regularly?
Yeah, I've been doing it since I left school. Since I left school, I haven't really had a job. Just been busking and gigging wherever I can. Like,
Awesome, living the
That's
dream.
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, nice.
That is awesome. That's awesome that you're channeling all your energy into music, which you definitely
That's
should
it,
be, because
100%,
you
yeah.
totally. I know I've said it to you a lot today. And you're probably sick of it. You totally have a talent that I'm jealous of.
Oh, thank you.
Your tone is insane. I'm like, honestly, you're like it's a really captivating tone. Really lovely.
Oh,
And have you got any music out? I know I've mentioned Tramp on YouTube, but have you got any other platforms that you're on at the moment that people can tune into?
I've got a few bits on Spotify and stuff, but I'm actually working on. Well, before lockdown, I was working on some new songs in the studio, so hopefully I have them out by the end of the summer.
What have you got on
Awesome.
Spotify? What have you got on there? Have you got
Just
what's
little bits and bobs with me and my brother used to do stuff like, but he doesn't live in Devon, so I haven't been doing much with him recently. But
What does your brother play? Is he a guitarist as well?
he's actually an MC. He raps.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
on.
I can only imagine that is an awesome combo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when your brother's next down, like, come on, let's
Yeah.
hear that.
Oh, yeah, we'll have a
Yeah,
session.
definitely.
Lucy Robbins says Emma played at our wedding. That's a
Yeah,
big gig.
I've done a few, yeah.
That's actually that's probably one of the biggest gigs someone can ask you to do in their lives. That's their most special
Yeah.
day, and they've asked you to be at their wedding. That's
Right.
amazing. That's,
It's
There's a
lovely.
lot of comments coming in, isn't there?
So the best
Yeah,
gig.
hell of a lot.
The,
A lot of people watching
emojis
as
are going
well.
mad. Yeah, Joe Multishaw just joined. Hello, Joe.
Way big up.
No,
Joe
big
Mark.
thanks to Joe. What a
Yeah,
legend.
big thanks to Joe. We successfully opened our virtual club last night, and it was all down to Joe. To be honest, he put all the work into it. So
Thank you,
big up
Joe.
Joe Marks. Thank you so much, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The virtual club is a platform for us to be able to play copyright music, stuff that's on, like you hear on the radio. You're not supposed to be playing on Facebook on a live stream unless you've got proper copyrights, and even then it's tricky. So we bypassed it all. We worked really hard, and we set up the virtual club. And most weekends, I think it's just, are we just doing Saturdays at the moment, guys?
I think we play it by ear. Do see what the
by ear.
people want. If people next Wednesday night start demanding a rave, then it's going to be DJ Yabs at the virtual club again.
Yeah, boy.
But if you're DJs, you know DJs, send us a link. We've got a form for you to fill in. It's automated. Just send it in. We'll listen to stuff, and we want to get more acts in. But yeah, please send us some stuff. And that's what the virtual club's there for.
There's a few people that we've been speaking to already that wanted to get onto the platform to kind of DJ and stuff. And with the issues that we had over the first couple of days, which we didn't realize were so serious at the time, with getting Yabs on the stream and kind of getting closed down. I think it was a total of 7 times in 2 days. And you're only supposed to apparently get 5 red strikes on Facebook before they actually close your page down. So now that we're kind of hitting the levels that we're hitting, we're really, really, really hot up on the licensing and everything now. So we can't afford to obviously lose the page, because we're never going to hit this timeline again. We're never going to open a virtual pub on the day that Boris closes the actual pub again. So yeah, we're really cautious about losing the page altogether. So that's the reason we've opened the virtual club. It's got a license on there. We can play whatever we want. We can have covers in there. We can have DJs in there. So yeah, we're super excited, and it all goes to it's all thanks to Joe Mott. So Joe, if you're still watching, big up. Thank you so much. For your help.
He just said thanks for the mention. Yeah, thanks, Joe. Star.
Cool. Anyway, enough about us. Let's get back onto Emma.
Yeah. So Emma, I want to a common question that we like to ask is, how are you getting on these crazy times? You got any self-isolation tips, tricks?
No, not really. Just play loads of Xbox, I think.
Nice. I think that's
You
what a
did
lot of
it,
people are doing.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking you went live on Facebook and played guitar the other day, and I think all of us saw it, but was it right that your mum was holding the phone and filming you for the whole thing?
And my other half was.
Oh, you're half was it?
Yeah, we liked that. It was
good.
just in front of the camera was a coffee table where the phone could have been sat. So fair play to your partner for holding the camera through the whole thing.
Team effort. Team effort.
Absolutely. Well, we've got a lot of viewers in here, guys.
Yeah, there's a lot of people coming in, a lot of love coming in the comments. Emma, you've obviously captivated everyone like you have us. Is it that everybody that's coming in now is there's a lot of big fans in.
I've been looking forward to this all week, every day in the pub landlords groups, like Emma's on Sunday.
Yeah,
and it's a big one for you tonight as well, Emma. As we were discussing earlier, you were saying you've never done a gig where it's all your own songs, and I think that's just such a massive moment for you personally.
Yeah, all originals tonight.
It's big, man.
May I say, your copy, the covers you've done are brilliant. Your Major Lazer ones, your Justin Bieber ones are sick.
Oh, cheers.
Check her out on YouTube, guys. Honestly, Emma Pick, as it sounds, Pick. Check her out. Not now, after the show.
Yeah, YouTube's closed for a minute while we're online. In fact, you can watch. You can go on YouTube if you want, but you can only watch us. They've blocked all the other videos for the next half an hour while Emma's playing. Right, guys, I think we've run out of questions and things to say. It's quite apparent. So why don't we pass over to Emma for the set? So Emma, we reckon we're doing about 5 songs, is it?
Yeah, that's it.
Is that with Tramp, or we got 6?
With Tramp. Yeah, that's
With
right.
Tramp.
Awesome. Okay, well, look, we're going to be here in the background. We're going to be enjoying the set as well. We're just going to drop out. If anything goes wrong, just shout and wave, and we'll be right here. But for now, ladies and gentlemen in the comments lads in the feed, make some noise. Big up Emma Pick.
Yeah, boy.
Got them skinny jeans, you're all DCs. You haven't touched your hair in weeks, but I like what I see. You got them big green eyes, your smile is nice. Spot your head like 6-eyed dice, but still, I wanna take you somewhere nice. You're the most beautiful thing I've seen. Hard to believe that you live on the street. I can't wait till the day that we meet. And how do you say you're in love with the tramp from the street? Tramp from the street, yeah. Start the day with a cigarette you picked up from a guy you met. You have to walk to where you need to get, but I can't stop wanting to see you. No, I can't stop wanting to be you. You're the most beautiful thing I've seen. Hard to believe that you live on the street. I can't wait till the day that we meet. And how do you say you're in love with the tramp from the street? The tramp from the street, yeah. You're the most beautiful thing I've seen. Hard to believe that you live on the street. I can't wait till the day that we meet. But how do you say you're in love with the tramp from the street? Got next. This song's called Tomorrow. It's a song I actually do with my brother normally, but feeling trapped in your shadow. And even when you find the light, you know bad times will follow. So you think about your life, figure this a lifetime of sorrow. You don't wanna live life, say goodbye to tomorrow. But tomorrow's another day. No faith, live life for your mother's name. You can't take the pain, then just run away. Be proud of who you are and not ashamed. And tell me find who you are. Not the highest bar, but till then, stay true to who you are. Use your mind and know your heart, find life by the dark. I wanna see tomorrow come, but tomorrow ain't promised for us. Live life to the living, you could die any minute, so far we're in it. I said, no time for giving, just try to forget it. Live life till you finish line lost. I knew that I would find my way, I realized I couldn't hide away. Yeah. Oh, you're in the dark, feeling trapped with your demons. And even when you find the light, you know bad times will seep in. You're getting so low, yeah, you're feeling defeated. You got scars on your heart from the way you've been treated. But in life there'll be bad days. You can see life in so many ways. No faith and you never prayed to regenerate and maybe try to elevate. Yeah. Cause only you can choose your path. Do you think straight to who you are? You need to make a difference, cause only you can make a living. I wanna see tomorrow come, but tomorrow ain't promised for us. Live life to the living, you could die any minute, so far we're in it. I said, no time for giving, just try to forget it. Live life till you finish line lost. I knew that I would find my way, I realized I couldn't hide away. I wanna see tomorrow come, but tomorrow ain't promised for us. Life to the living, you could die any minute, so far we're in it. I said, no time for giving, just try to forget it. Live life till you finish line lost. I knew that I would find my way, I realized I couldn't hide away. Oh, I wanna see tomorrow come. Tomorrow ain't promised for us. Live life to the living, you could die any minute, so far we're in it. I said, no time for giving, just try to forget it. Live life till you finish line lost. I knew that I would find my way, I realized I couldn't hide away. Oh. Woo! Thank you. This song's called Time Pass. Try and paint a perfect picture, trying to get a grip of it. Forget about the things I did. Are you listening? I'll be listening. Hoping and holding on, I've lost. Only my soul is gone, gets weak and ready for the road if I should listen. I've been told since young, and that's why I'm trying. Trying so hard to find your heart. Wonder when I find it, cause it's so hard when you're in the dark. Time's gonna pass me by, nobody hears me shout. Nobody hears my cries, bless me the tears are down. Time's gonna pass me by, nobody hears me shout. Nobody hears my cries, bless me the tears are down. Slowly we drift away, make me think, what if you changed? Maybe you still feel the same, but that's why I want you, so I can put the bad things behind, and maybe I can love you. You're the only one that I can find, so that's why I'm trying. I'm trying so hard to find your heart. I wonder when I find it, cause Trying so hard, we're in the dark. Time's gonna pass me by. Nobody hears me shout. Nobody hears my cries, burst me to tears us down. Time's gonna pass me by. Nobody hears me shout. Nobody hears my cries, burst me to tears us down. Always be the tears us down now. That's why I'm trying so hard to find your heart. I wonder where I find it, 'cause it's so hard, we're in the dark. Time's gonna pass me by. Nobody hears me shout. Nobody hears my cries, bless me to tears us down. It's me that tears us down now. Thank you. This one's called Say You'll Try. Know that you'll remember the times we had back then. It sure was amazing. Hurts me that you regretted everything. And now it's gonna slip away. You know the lines for the loving, so don't go and throw the good things to the wind. Oh no, you know the heart's for the loving. You can't ignore the feelings that lay there. They'll always be there. They'll always be there. Oh, they'll always be there. Oh, they'll always be there. Yes, I've always been into you. Always thought that I stay true to you. Don't know what point in time things changed. I guess we took each other for granted. Regret every time I made you cry. I was just angry, blamed you, wished that I lied. And now I feel ashamed, I'm confused. Say you'll try. Say you'll try real hard one time. Say you will, yes you will try. So don't go and throw the good things to the wind. Oh, they'll always be there. Oh, they'll always be there. Oh, they'll always be there. Thank you. Yes, I'm saving that one for last. This song is called Your Song. It all started when I set my eyes on you. And with that smile of yours, you don't even have a clue. And when I saw your face, my fears just went away. Eyes like the deep blue sea, and I hope you're on my way, baby. I'm falling in your eyes, baby. And I hope you don't mind that I wrote this song for you. Thinking about the things you do, and I realize I'm in love with how intense we are. I'm in love because you touch my heart. I'm in love when you wake me in the morning. I'm in love kissing your head while I'm yawning. I'm in love. And as the day goes by, the feeling's more insane. And I don't know what you've been doing to my brain, but I know that this is something amazing, something crazy, and I can't even explain it, baby. I'm falling in your eyes, baby. And I hope you don't mind that I wrote this song for you. Thinking about the things you do, and I realize I'm in love with how intense we are. I'm in love because you touch my heart. I'm in love when you wake me in the morning. I'm in love kissing your head while I'm yawning. I'm in love. Ooh, yeah. Baby, I'm falling in your eyes, baby, yeah. I hope you don't mind that I wrote this song for you. Thinking about the things you do, and I realize I'm in love with how intense we are. I'm in love because you touch my heart. I'm in love when you wake me in the morning. I'm in love, yeah. I'm in love. Thank you. Was that 5? Did I do 5?
How you doing, babe? You all right? Are we all in? Are we done?
Mate.
I cannot honestly. I've been doing this to the guys in the background, and this is, guys, just for future reference. That is goosebumps.
Yeah, that's not obvious.
That's not, is it?
I was just like watching in complete silence.
Oh, thank you so much.
That was
Man.
incredible. I think your brother might be watching.
Yeah,
If not,
looks
someone
like he
else.
is.
Someone else is claiming to have written your songs. If not, that's...
Yeah, that is my brother, yeah.
Is your brother Josh Bidder?
No.
no.
Callum
I was gonna-
Green, I
No,
think.
Callum
Sorry.
Green.
Can I say Josh is another really talented singer as well, man. That boy's got a voice. Get on, Josh. Send us in a form.
There's a lot of
But
incredible
honest-
comments coming in, unsurprisingly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Bidder
Yeah.
from Harbour.
I literally
great.
can't keep up with all the amount of love that's coming in on the comments. It's
Oh,
crazy.
that's
This is
great.
definitely the most amount of comments that we've ever had for any of our artists. This is
Woo!
Yeah.
it's-
I'm
it's
sorry. Can I
not-
just ask how many weddings have you performed? Because apparently a few.
Yes, so probably about 20.
Yeah, I'm not really not surprised.
Yeah, and I've got loads booked in for this year, hopefully.
Well, yeah.
Fingers
Fingers
Yes.
crossed.
Rosie said, "Please, can you write an album and she'll give you all the money." So that's.
I'll give you all my money too.
Well,
100%.
the
We
world-
can hook you up with
money.
Rosie and steal all the money.
Oh man, we have to get you back on the show sooner rather than later, please. If that's all right.
Yeah,
So-
100%.
So happy you got in contact.
Tomorrow.
Thank you.
I'm still like shell shocked. I'm completely shell shocked. Like,
Yeah,
I knew you was going to be incredible, but I think in the moment and yeah,
Do
it was
you know-
so good.
you sort of
Thank you guys.
each show we do from like every act is amazing, and then you sort of feel, I don't know about you, but like I feel bad for giving the next person so much praise, thinking that no, because I still love those guys, but this guy's
Yeah.
awesome. It's you're great. You're
Can I
great.
just
know
say
everyone-
one thing? I think for the first time on the virtual pub, we've got an encore.
Yeah, there's
It
so
needs
many
to be done.
Ah,
It needs to be done.
For another
Can you
one.
just play us one more?
Yes,
something.
I've got one more.
Yes.
Legend.
Yeah. Make some noise in the comments. Make some noise in the chat.
This one's called Falling Down. I also do this one with my brother. I knew a man that was homeless, and he replied, I don't know where my home is, and I don't like feeling so alone with myself. They go by, they go by, they go by, without asking if I'm alright. And love night goes blind, slowly my soul dies. I'll be drinking, thinking about old times. Happens we all die, I messed up my whole life, and now I can't see the light. You might not believe it, I used to have it all. I would give it a secret, I threw it up the wall. No, life has no meaning, now you can watch me fall. You can watch me fall. Keep on falling down. I don't know where I'm heading now. I tried to reach on now, but they won't let me now. But they won't let me now. I keep on falling down. I don't know where I'm heading now. I tried to reach on now, but they won't let me now. But they won't let me now. Yeah. I knew a girl that was hurting, and she replied, what's worse is I loved him. Love turned me blind, left me with a burden. For months I cried, nothing is certain. To the person inside that was twisting and turning at night. No sleep cause I'm holding on to things in my mind. Holding me, so before I love when and die. Hold me, that's what you told me before I love when and die. Maybe I'm crazy for thinking I gave up the drinking. You could have saved our love. You painted your picture, it was crazy without you. And now that pain is gone. She said that man that was homeless, yeah, he had my heart. So whenever you're hurting, I keep on falling down. I don't know where I'm heading now. I try to reach on now, but they won't let me now. But they won't let me now, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. Oh, I keep on falling down. I don't know where I'm heading now. I tried to reach on now, but they won't let me now, but they won't let me now. I keep on falling down, don't know where I'm heading now. I tried to reach on now, but they won't let me now, but they won't let me now.
Oh my god.
Where, Emma, where do you get your inspiration for your lyrics? Where does it come from? Tell
Me
us.
and my brother write quite a lot together. My brother's like lyrically really, really clever. So he writes a lot of our stuff together.
Man,
That's
That's
so
the-
cool.
Together, I play the guitar, he like starts writing, and we get a little hook.
and then you bring the
Man.
soul and the passion. Man, honestly, I was doing this again. You can feel it on the back of my neck. Have you got anything? So you said you got stuff on Spotify, so that is immediately being going into a playlist like now.
Yes,
Honestly,
yeah.
I'm not
With my
just
brother.
I'm not just bigging this up. I've literally been fanboying you all day. You're insane. I just love your tone. It really
Thank you.
resonates with
Thank you
me.
so much.
Really, really does resonate with me. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah.
Thank you for
Again,
having me.
I know a lot of the
Thank you
performers
everyone
that
watching.
I know a lot of the performers that have been on here have struggled when they finish a song and it's just dead silent because they're in the house by themselves. But you brought your own audience with you. Those people going mad in your lounge there.
They're in the kitchen. They're in the kitchen clapping.
A lot of the performers that have been on the show are in the comments now, just saying they're going to
Yeah,
play
yeah.
music after this. Yeah, no, it's there's a lot of love going on in the comments. There's,
It's
yeah,
lovely.
yeah, it's great. It's
and
it's
can you-
definitely-
So you busk in Torquay at the minute? You live in Torquay, is it?
Yeah, I've lived here for about 2 years now.
Okay. Where were you before? Sorry, did we ask this question?
Northampton.
Okay. I'm so glad you moved down.
Yes.
yeah, me too.
And when you're playing your sets, what bars are you playing in? Name them, get them out, promote them.
Offshore, I'm doing offshore at the minute.
Okay.
I was doing a bit in Malloy's in the summer. They've got like an outside stage.
Amazing.
A couple of pubs in Brixham, the Buller's Arms, just wherever we'll have.
Can I?
Big up
I-
Brixham.
So get in
I'm gonna
touch
say-
with me.
A big shout out to Offshore actually, because they're always promoting new acts, and they're a big part of the sort of original talent of Torbay. They're a big part of that, so hats off to you guys. Well done. I think Ian Garner's a big part of that. So big love,
Yeah,
Ian.
Brett Morton as well. I know he was watching the other day. He might be here today, but yeah, Brett does a lot for that as well. He's involved, I think. Yeah.
Emma, thank
Right,
you so
guys.
much.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for joining us.
Thank you, Emma.
We're going to bring on our next guest now, but ladies and gentlemen, in the comments, please make some noise
Yes.
one more time for Emma Pick, everybody.
Thank you so much for coming on. Honestly,
Thank you.
please come on again.
Yeah, please
I will
do.
do.
See you soon. Thank you. Guys,
That was good, wasn't it?
God, that literally sent me to another place. It was exactly what I needed.
I rarely get.
I know.
goosebumps. And I'm not saying it for show's sake. That was a genuine response to what I heard.
Her future is so bright.
yeah,
I'm not sure how old Emma is or whatever. I know she does a lot of covers, but her original songs, in my opinion, they stand up just as strong to any cover. Man, like,
Serious talent.
Just
Yeah.
God. And if you just go onto YouTube and search Emma Pick, and there's a load of songs on there. I can't believe she's not like bigger. Her tone
I
really
know.
resonates with me. Really does. What a beautiful, beautiful voice. What a beautiful girl as well.
voice. Guys, I can see our next guest sat backstage, ready and raring to join us. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you joined us for Emma's set, or if you're a regular around here, regardless, stick around. This is going to be a really interesting conversation. We've got a very special guest coming in. Let's bring him in. It's only bloody Tom Chapman. Hello, mate.
Oh.
Hey.
Tom.
How's it going? You
How
all
you
right?
doing?
Good, man. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thanks for the rider in the green room. Really good, mate. Thanks.
No
No worries. No worries.
Yeah,
Cheese and biscuits, great selection.
Weetabix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Look at those
Packet
beautiful.
of Whatsits, half eaten, stale. Lovely.
Are they still there?
I
They were
They
for
were
Emma.
brick
Lovely,
shouts from
mate.
last night.
did ask for scampi fries, but yeah, I mean, get what you're given, don't you?
I love
did-
Scampi Fry.
They didn't have
Rations now.
So, guys, if you're sticking around from Emma's set, or if you're one of our regulars, this is Tom Chapman. Tom, tell us a little bit about what you do.
Hi, well, firstly, thanks for inviting me on here.
No worries, man.
Really, I've
It's
been watching it. It's been fantastic. Really, really good stuff. I think it's such an innovative idea to do this and set this up, and really supporting people in this time. I actually did an interview with Men's Health magazine yesterday, and I mentioned you guys in it. So hopefully, we'll get you some coverage on there. So that'll be good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, mate.
Anyway, so I'm Tom Chapman. I'm a barber and hairdresser. But in 2015, I set up the Lions Barber Collective, which is a mental health and suicide prevention charity. I lost a friend to suicide in 2014, and I think that we just need to do something about it. And I wasn't aware of any mental health charities, suicide prevention, any resources that are out there. And I thought, if we're losing people, and I've lost people and I've been affected, then how many people out there are suffering alone, or have lost people, or think of taking their own life and don't know where to go? So that's why I started the Lions Barber Collective in 2015. We become a charity in 2017, and now we've got our own training program, which we developed with lead psychiatrists in suicide prevention called Barber Talk. We train hairdressers and barbers to recognise the signs, ask the right direct questions, listen with empathy and without judgment, and finally give the barbers and hairdressers and signpost those people to the help they need, rather than trying to make barbers and hairdressers to counsellors or therapists.
Yeah.
It's all bridging the gap between the communities we serve and the resources that are available, really.
Can't pass them on to the people that know what to do, but be an ear and support their journey. Don't have to have the best advice, do you, necessarily? But like you said, if your toolkit is being able to pass people on to a support network, brilliant. And fair play, mate.
Yeah.
Like amazing.
Do you
Thanks,
find
man.
that conversations naturally happen, Tom? Because I find I open up to my barber without even realizing I'm doing it. I think it's one of those rare moments in life where the men are intimate these days. Ultimately, the guy's touching you, like obviously bearded guys is touching your face, and kind of there's a rare kind of intimacy there. And I think that just lends to that type of conversation. Like I say, I find myself having conversations that I have with my barber like I wouldn't have with anybody else, really.
Yeah, definitely. It's a very intimate relationship, really. And someone, I've known people for 20 years. I've cut their hair, but I've never seen them outside of the barbershop. So there's that sort of distance from their social circle. They can trust to tell you, and it's not going to get back to anybody. There's the confidence that the confidentiality in that conversation. But the license to touch that hairdressers and barbers have, like you said, touching your face, you touch intimate places on people that you would probably only have a lover or family member's touch. And human touch, human contact releases oxytocin, which is a feel-good hormone in our brain. So with that, we're touching people for 30 minutes, an hour. So that's one of the reasons why you feel so good. You look good because you've had a good haircut, and you feel good because you've had that human connection. Plus, we have conversation one-to-one without any interruptions, which is happening less and less now because there's so many different things in our lives going on. We've got social media, emails, all our phones constantly interrupting our lives. We have to be very reactive. So to sit down and have a conversation with somebody one-to-one is incredibly powerful. And hairdressers and barbers listen on average about 2,000 hours a year. So we're good listeners anyway. But we have to be good listeners, because if we don't listen to what you want done to your hair, then you're screwed from the start. So we have to be good listeners. It's a big skill in the hair industry. And I just think we're in the perfect position to do it. We need to get more hairdressers and barbers trained. I'm fighting to try and get it into the hair and beauty curriculum. We learn about physical health and health and safety. We learn about ringworm and head lice and psoriasis and all that. And I've come across those probably a handful of times in my career. But we deal with people's mental health every day. It doesn't have to be depression, suicide, or it could just be, people vent to you. They won't tell you like, oh, my wife or my job or my kids or my dad's died or whatever it may be. And they come in and vent to us all the time. So I think we should be prepared for that.
And also, does that when you're listening to that all the time as well, that's a pressure for you guys as well, isn't it? Because that person's sort of confiding in you in that moment. And I know I personally struggle with feeling like a sense of responsibility for people's well-being. So if someone unloads, I used to feel like I had to sort of care for them and sort of guide them. But I guess it's hard because the only time you can really support them is when they're in the chair. How do you deal with it after?
It's the good thing with the barber and hairdressers is that you have follow-up with your clients, so you see them quite regularly, so you can check in on them, see how they're doing, and have that ongoing relationship with them. But also for the barbers and the hairdressers, we've got to look after ourselves, which is really important. And that's one reason why we've just literally launched an app yesterday called Barber Talk, which is available on the Apple Store. We're just waiting for it to get done on the Android, but it's basically aimed at the hair industry. But it's got like mindfulness tips on there specifically for hairdressers and barbers. It's got steps of mental well-being. It's got a hypnosis sleep story thing on there, for meditation thing. It's got our barber talk training on there, which we really want. We're pushing to get another 500 barbers and hairdressers signed up in this isolation time. If we get another 500 barbers and hairdressers signed up, we could potentially reach another 75,000 people every week.
Wow,
if
that's amazing.
Busy hairdressers and barbers, yeah.
I guess
the most important thing about the app. Sorry, yeah. I was going to say the most important thing about the app is barbers looking after barbers. There's a forum on there, a safe space forum for barbers and hairdressers to talk in there. So they can. There's 2 or 3 different chats. There's like a thread. Sorry, there's like a welcome to the Pride. Introduce yourself. There's an industry chat, so we can talk about stuff that's going on in the industry, and then finally there's a sort of a safe space chat where you can offload your stresses or problems, or if someone's come in and told you something quite hard, you can go on there and offload it somewhere else, because even psychiatrists and therapists have their own psychiatrists and therapists.
Yeah,
because you got to look after yourself.
Yeah, you need
Tom,
supervision with that sort of thing. Then.
Is that something that I could download? Because I'd be really interested in having a look.
Anybody
You don't
can go
have
on-
to be a barber, no.
No, you don't have to be a barber. No, it's just aimed at the hair industry, because teaching all these people how to do this mental health training, and then people are going to offload on them. Where do they go? I'm lucky. I've got a good support group. We've got Lions ambassadors. I've got my family around me, so I'm lucky I can talk to them. But if you haven't got that around you, we're trying to build. The Lions are trying to build this pride of a support group. Basically, we're all looking after each other and all working together. Our sort of catchphrase or tagline hashtag is together we're stronger, because like a pride of Lions, so they need each other to survive, don't they?
Yeah. I know clubs. You can get this thing called mental health first aid. You become a mental health first aider, which is much like what the Barber Collective is. Is that touching on the same sort of? Yeah,
it's very similar.
It's needed. Anywhere where, like, especially in clubs and bars, you've got a lot of staff members. And I know a couple of clubs near us. They operate with a couple of mental health first aiders. Yeah, and they're just there to support the staff. Just checking in on the staff, like if all of a sudden a staff member's sort of not turning up for work, or they've changed their mannerisms or the way they interact with their other staff, like they're there to sort of go in and sort of just say, hey, is everything all right? And that's all it is. It's not a case of training to be a psychiatrist, like you said. You don't need to all of a sudden become this like all-in-one healer that can heal everyone. It's just sort of recognizing patterns in people's behavior. 1 minute they're one way and then they've changed. It's recognizing and, just like you said, finding navigating a conversation with them that maybe then allows them to find proper help, real help, in the form of psychiatry or whatever. There's a whole plethora of therapies out there for everybody. But amazing.
Definitely. It's so important. I think so when I first started it, I did the mental health first aid training myself. I did ASSIST, which is suicide prevention. I did Safe Talk, and we had some funding from Recovery Devon to put on one for the hair industry. And I found it really hard to get them to come and do 2 days of mental health training. And most of them are self-employed. It's quite heavy. It's quite a heavy subject, and it was hard to get them to do it. So that's when I'd wanted to develop my own one, which is the Barber Talk, which is about 5 hours. And it also includes a barbering demonstration as well. So they get like a haircut demo in the middle of it. So it breaks it up. It gives them something they can relate to, something they understand. But like you said, recognize is the first pillar of it, and recognizing is so important. And it's quite simple, really. It's basically any sort of change from normal in that person is a sign that something may be up. It doesn't have to be, but it might. And it gives you the opportunity to then perhaps ask the question. So if someone's sleeping more than usual, or not sleeping more than usual, or they put on a lot of weight, or lost a lot of weight, or that might be a sign that something's happened to them, and then you can ask the questions. And it's about asking those direct questions, because we always say, "You're right, mate. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you. Yeah." We go back and forth, and it's more of a greeting rather than actually wanting to know. So questions like, how are you feeling today? And using their name, making it about them and about the time today. So if you say, "You're right, mate," it's quite general. People say, "Yeah, I'm fine."
It's almost a throwaway comment.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it also, like, questions like asking people if they're suicidal, if you suspect something, talking about suicide and asking about suicide does not cause it. It
prevents
that opportunity to be able to talk about it. I've asked people that. I've asked quite a few people that, and all of those people I've asked are still with us today. And that's a really life-saving question. And then listening is so important. It's very difficult because when we listen, when we have conversations, it's like tennis, isn't it? You listen for something that you recognise that they're talking about, and then you chuck in, you hold on to that thought until they finish talking. You go, yeah, I did that, and I had this. But actually, it's about not butting in, not trying to solve a problem, not offering advice, just letting them talk and not telling them I know how you feel or I understand, telling them I don't know how you feel, but I'm willing to listen to you and try to understand. Because I bet everybody up there, everyone who's watching this, all of you guys, you've gone through something and you're telling someone, they go, yeah, I understand, or I know how you feel because I did this, and you think, no, you don't know how I feel. Yeah. Because it's also individual to the person who's feeling it.
Of course.
We touched on it earlier. Actually, we had Gary Waters on, and it's not that they. So if I had a friend come up to me and sort of unload, and I instantly replied with, if all my tools were, which it'd be all right. It's not them being like an arse. It's just their toolkit only allows them to. That's their only option. That's their instant reply. Is like, oh, it'll be all right. And it's actually it's teaching people that it's not a case of having to have an answer for someone that's coming to you with a problem. It's just having an ear, just listening.
Yeah, definitely. It's very powerful.
And then, absolutely, because vocalizing it externalizes it. You sort of you can look at it differently once you've said something.
People solve their own problems. People solve their own problems when you tell them, when they talk to you and you give them that platform. I listened to a guy for about 3 hours the other day telling me, he wanted to talk to me. I listened to him 3 hours, and in that time, he told me all the things he needed to do to get out of that situation he was in, and I relayed them back to him, and it was his plan that he came up with, not me telling him what to do, because no one likes to be told what to do. And I think just giving someone that platform to talk is so important. They can actually, and I think or someone's talking about this. If someone's saying these things, a good question to ask them is say, what would you tell your friend to do if they were going through this? Because they know what they would do. They just tell you what they know they should do.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
People tend to be a lot more critical and harsh on themselves as well, don't they? I think it's always a valuable exercise, getting people to imagine that it's their friend in that situation and how they might react differently to it if it was their friend. Because ultimately, we're nasty to ourselves. We're not nice to ourselves.
We're our own worst enemies.
Where we're feeling a little bit down, a little bit kind of hard done by, maybe. Whereas if you switch it and you kind of put your friend in that position, or imagine that it's your friend in that position, you'll tend to be a lot more kind of.
And lost the earbud.
Tom, do you think
my nervous twitch? Sorry.
I can totally relate to what you were saying about you were just like you just listen. You would not necessarily tell people what to do, but you sort of figure out how to fix things yourself. And I actually went through that with Charlie last summer, and it was a really weird moment how you were saying that, and I was like, I've been there, and like Charlie just helped me by listening, and by Sam saying like we're our own worst enemy, etc. And I remember at that moment in time, I was like, but it's because I deal with really bad anxiety. So I was like, it's because I'm this and that. And Charlie was just like, didn't really say a lot, but the little things that he did say, and just by getting it off my chest and him going, you'll be okay, man. Like, it's just this, you just got to navigate it all in your brain. Like,
if you internalize
listen to some mindfulness and whatnot. And,
if you internalize, you become your own judge, jury, and executioner, right?
Yeah.
As soon as you vocalize it and you have someone listen, even having someone listen, you sort of have this connection. Then you sort of you feel like you've unloaded. They've not ran away, so they've clearly still there, and you feel almost a sense of being understood, although they don't have all the answers. The fact you've been able to unload and they're still there, it's such a key. Honestly, communicating and just talking to people is just key. And man, just
well, it's not about having the answers. It's not about having the answers. It's not about trying to fix people. It's about letting them have the opportunity to fix themselves. It's like you're talking about having that. The voice that we listen to the most in our lives is our inner voice that is pretty critical and harsh on ourselves. And having that, what it's like when I bet all of us here have had times when you lay in bed at night worrying about certain things. It's going round and round in your head, and you're worrying about whether it be finances or relationships or whatever that may be. And the next day, you think about rationally again. Can you imagine what it must be like if you're contemplating taking your own life? What that must have got to, and being able to get that out of your head makes it seem much more like rational, and you kind of work out how I'm going to do this and get away with that. Because taking the people who want to take their life, it's not they want to die. It's normally they can't go on with the situation they want to live in, rather than the life they're living at the moment. and I've been in that situation before, and I'd never actually wanted to take my own life, but I thought about it as an option. And that was, again, one night laying in bed, I was going through problems, and my brain was ticking. I was like, I could always kill myself. And I was just like, what the hell, why have I thought that? But it was just me looking for some ways out of that. And luckily I had people I could talk to about it. But I think, it's such a taboo subject. But that question, are you suicidal? Have you got a plan? Are you thinking about killing yourself? It does save lives. It does save lives. I know it has, because I've asked people when they're still here.
It's interesting you sort of mentioned just in that small bit, you said sort of, are you contemplating suicide? And then there was like almost like another level to it, which is, are you planning on it? Like, have you got a plan for it? Are they triggers that you look for? Like, are they? They've got different meaning.
I mean, if you like listening to people, I mean, I'm sure all of us have probably heard people say, I can't go on anymore. I've had enough of this. And there are signs of people saying that I've literally sort of on the edge. And if you ask people, like, if you contemplate suicide, people may have thought of it, but if they've never had a plan, it's not so extreme. Okay. And if you ask someone if they've had a plan, and they say, like one of the guys I know, he had stocked up pills and painkillers and stuff like that. So in that moment, I developed a plan with him to keep him safe. So how can we call he lived with his parents, can we call your parents? Let's do it from the salon phone. Let's call them, let's get them come and take you, let's tell them about this. Shall we tell them? Shall we, like I asked, sort of coach him into how he wanted to plan it himself, because he didn't want to take his life. And 8 out of 10 survivors of potential suicide didn't want to die. They're happy they survived. So and I know the people, I speak to a lot of people that have attempted and survived, and all the people I've spoken to are happy they're still here.
Do you find when you're training, or kind of when you're with the guys that are training, the phase in the kind of the ask phase that you mentioned, do you find it seems to me like as a barber, it might be a little bit daunting to actually ask those direct questions? Like you, what is the training kind of? How does the training work with that kind of? Is there anything in there? I guess I suppose the more you know about it, the more likely you are to ask those questions. But that feels like it would be a tough thing to ask somebody in the early stages.
Definitely, I think it's quite a scary question to ask, because we don't want the answer to be yes. I think that's more of it's a selfish thing, because we don't know how to react, or we don't want to deal with that, or we don't want to. But the whole point of the training is that we give them the confidence, so they understand they just need to listen, they don't need to fix things, and then give them the confidence in the knowledge of where they can send people to or signpost people to. It's like and things like a lot of people don't realise that you can call 999 if somebody's in a crisis and it's going to take their life. And they do have mental health teams at Casualty. And a lot of people I tell, they're like, I thought it was just for physical health. I didn't
know that.
It's called
you can do that.
It's called the crisis team.
Yeah, exactly.
Tom, am I right in... Sorry.
Sorry.
I was going to say, am I right in thinking you live abroad now? I was just wondering if...
No, I did. I lived in Norway for a bit, but I'm back in Torquay.
Yeah. So I was wondering sort of if you've sort of seen a difference in people's attitude to mental health and things like that in different countries, because we've traditionally got the stiff upper lip approach to a lot of things, haven't we, and sort of just head down and carry on and bury our heads in these things. But is that a very British thing, or is that sort of worldwide?
Well, I'm quite lucky in my actual real job, where I'm a global barber director for a hair cosmetic company, so I travel around the world and do hair stuff on stage and what have you. And everywhere I've gone, I use it as a platform to tell people about the lions. And, I've been to Brazil and there's a problem there. I've been to America, it's a problem there. I've been to Canada, it's a problem there. Everywhere I go, it's a problem, because it's not about, I think we think about it's such a stigmatized thing, mental health. And we associate it with being diagnosed with something, depression, bipolar personality disorders, whatever that may be. But the reality of it is, it's not mental health conditions, it's human condition. We all have mental health, like we all have physical health. Every single person that's watching this, or all of you guys, has been disappointed, let down, not was looking back at them in the mirror, whatever, been dumped, whatever it looks like, lost a job. And we have our mental health to look after every day. And I think it's more about this mental fitness that we talk, like physical fitness. We're talking about it a lot, but we don't. There's a lot of talk about mental health right now, and it's great, but there's not a lot of education on how we look after it and how we do that. We all understand physical health, don't we? We all know that if we exercise, eat well, whatever, we're physically going to be better. but mentally we're talking about it, but what does it actually mean?
Often it's similar things as well. That those physical things that they will have a direct impact on your mental health. They're the things we do to get physically fit. I find when I'm on it, as I say, when I'm kind of training like I want to be training, when I'm kind of eating as I want to be eating, when I'm doing as well as I can, that's when my mental health's in the best state. I'm thinking clearly, I'm working efficiently. And I tend to find for example, if I have a bit of a heavy weekend and it kind of starts on the Sunday, I'll just have one pizza that day, and then before you know it, it's got to Thursday the next week, and I haven't trained. I've eaten really bad food.
Pizza every day.
I notice by the end of the next week, I start feeling the kind of internal triggers of, oh God, I'm starting to feel kind of a little bit more negative again. And it's only then when I switch up the routine, kind of get back into a more positive kind of physical state, then the kind of brain carries on in the same path.
Sam, don't you use because you meditate quite a bit, you put that up in the shows, and also you exercise. Are they your main sort of catalysts in you progressing out of what you'd call a trough?
Yeah, so I've got different things that I use. The first aid type approach that you mentioned earlier. I mean, I wouldn't say that I'm struggle with mental health more than kind of the next guy per se, but I'm kind of aware of what my triggers are. Like I say, now if I start feeling certain things, there's certain things that I know I can rely on that will kind of start bringing me back out of that headspace. Like we've mentioned a couple of times, the cold water thing is an instant fix for me. I mean, like a couple of days ago, like I mentioned on the show, I'm lucky enough to have a river just around the corner from here, and it's absolutely freezing cold. So although that might be a bit extreme for some people, if you jump in the shower and have a cold shower for 2 minutes, I guarantee you when you get out of that shower, your headspace will be completely different. And like we always say, none of us here are mental health experts per se, but for what it's worth, that's one of the things that I use, and I do find that the cold water therapy thing is an instant fix. It's not necessarily going to completely change your headspace, but it certainly kind of wakes you up a little bit and just gives you that kind of, ultimately when you're in the cold water, you're transfixed on how cold the water is and just kind of trying to concentrate on
it's mindfulness essentially.
Taken out, aren't you?
In that respect, it is meditative in the sense that it gives you a single point of focus, because you're thinking this water is very cold, and in that moment you're not thinking about things that are going on inside your head, and then you kind of come out of the shower after having that 1-2 minute break from it. And I think that slight gap that it gives you, that just 1-2 minutes of not thinking like that, allows you a bit of perspective.
Is it proven as well, once you go into the super cold water and then you come out and go into like a hot spa like they do in Sweden, Nordic countries?
I lived it. Yeah, they love them in Scandinavia. I love it.
So it releases so many endorphins, right?
Yeah, that's not. When I lived in Norway, all the spas were sort of, you weren't allowed to take swim shorts. It was like nude only. Nice. But they're really proven at the same time, so it's a bit strange. You know, it's like, really. Yeah, it's really odd. They're quite sort of like distant, like even more so than we are in Britain. But then they go to spas and naked. I don't know. It's strange.
I think on that note, where you're saying the cold shower sort of takes you out of the headspace where you can concentrate on anything else, it's important, I think, probably to make some time for any hobbies or pastimes that you really enjoy, isn't it? Your sort of escape from all the chaos. You know, people are so busy these days with life in general. If they've got that thing that they enjoy, it often slips away, doesn't it? You haven't got that window of time anymore. But I think probably trying to make that window of time and getting up earlier or whatever it is that you can make time to go and do your thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, that's probably got a big distraction.
We're talking about stuff like really healthy distractions, right? But they're like alcohol and drugs are so prevalent as distractions because they're almost immediate. Although they don't work, there's no long-lasting benefit to them. They're very short-lived.
But then it's always the next day.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So the next day, my anxiety is just awful. I can get away with like one day, but if I drink twice in a week, it's like game over for me. It takes me a good week to
anxiety, don't they?
Yeah,
anxiety.
The beer fear.
Yeah, that's what I've seen. They calling it anxiety. Yeah.
When you get the creepy crawlies.
Comment just coming in from Stevie D saying Wim Hof breathing technique, cold water therapy, and walking on the moor does a lot for me mentally and physically.
Yeah, amazing.
We were talking about Wim Hof.
Walking in nature, really powerful.
I don't know the Wim Hof breathing technique.
It was discussed the other night, wasn't it? With Rob Hunt was with his sea swims. He was talking about it, I think.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, without kind of diving back into it, if you want to know a little bit more about Wim Hof, jump on YouTube and have a look. The guy's ultimately defying science with the things that he's doing. But equally, I think any breathing, anytime you stop and concentrate on your breathing, like I said earlier with the cold showers, you're creating that space. You're creating that time where you're not thinking about your day to day. You're not thinking about your bills that you've got to pay, the work that you've got to do, and everything. You've stopped for a moment and you're concentrating on your breathing. So I think as much as there's hype, you'll hear hype about this particular technique, this other technique. I think ultimately, if you create some time for you, some time to create a bit of distance between you and your feelings, that's when you'll feel the benefit.
That's 100% it.
These are like major talking points that me and Gary Waters were discussing earlier on, and it was sort of how little changes in your day-to-day life and changing your perception of your reality, which ultimately is what causes your negative mindsets. Me and Gary, we're doing another discussion and putting it on live. We had some connection issues, so we couldn't finish the chat. But a lot of the content is around making those small changes and questioning your perception and how you view things and what the pressure of your relationship is with your partner and whether you feel responsible for your partner's happiness. So there's so many triggers, so multifaceted.
I think it's about finding what's right for you as well. Like mindfulness, people think, oh, meditation, sitting there, that's not for me. I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. I used to listen to a lot of sleep stories and things because I was worried about stuff at that time. I told you about thinking about killing myself. But and at the end, every time I put a sleep story on, it would trigger those thoughts of negativity because I kind of related it to it. But I think everyone's got their own way of doing it. For example, I got a Nintendo Switch for my little boy recently, and I was playing that with him, and all I was thinking about at that moment was the controller in my hand, the pressure on my thumb, trying not to lose to a 4-year-old at Mario Kart. And I didn't think about anything else, and that is mindfulness at the end of the day. And I think there's a lot to be said for like the stoicism approach of what control the controllable. The only things that you can control are your own thoughts and your own actions. Everything outside of that is completely out of your control, which sounds scary, but it's also quite liberating in the sense that I don't have to. I can choose how I react to what other people do. I saw a great graphic the other day about the whole coronavirus and all that kind of thing. And things that I can control are, I can turn off the news. I don't have to watch Corona TV all day long. I can find things to do at home. I can limit social media. I can worry about my own social distancing, not worrying about other people's social distancing. I'm worrying about how much toilet paper is at the store, or all those kind of things. I don't have to worry about that. I can just concentrate on me and not get caught up in this kind of whoever's putting out fake news here and there. And I think people take Facebook for their news source, and I think that's quite dangerous, isn't it? I think control the controllable. Hold on to stuff. Let things go.
And I think we can probably relate to that quite nicely, because being involved in this whole virtual pub project, it's been a crazy ride over the last week, and there's been a lot involved in it. It's taken a lot of time and focus, which has been a really pleasant distraction from things. I think if we didn't have this to concentrate on, and we were just kicking about in our homes trying to fill the day with various things, I think it's been a really good distraction for us.
And for all the people watching it as well.
Well, hopefully,
I mean, we went from this platform originally was a Facebook chat group between us guys. It was called the Coronavirus Information Exchange, and it was my attempt at kind of just bringing all the lads together and just saying, look, lads, this is a serious thing. We need to be sharing the information, and we need to be sharing kind of trusted sources, making sure we're posting our sources, and kind of staying in the know so that we can stay safe. And like Nick said, it was kind of in the early stages of it, we were kind of hitting with each other with a lot of information, especially in the first couple of days where all the things were coming through. You're hearing about Italy, you're hearing about China. It was quite.
It's all negative. They talk about the deaths. They talk about the deaths. They talk about they don't talk about the people that survived. They don't talk about the positive things that are going on. That scares people, doesn't it?
I saw something on Facebook today that they had they were moving patients out there, and all the medical staff in Italy were clapping. And they were saying, people are concentrating on the death rate and the death toll, but people weren't concentrating on the numbers that have actually been helped and have cured and have come out the other side of it, and celebrating both them and the medical staff that had helped them. And that was a really nice sort of perspective on it. It was
you're fighting a losing battle with the media, aren't you? Because ultimately, negative news kind of that's
clickbait and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a lot of irresponsible reporting, especially around mental health. So there's a new study that came out at the end of last year, and it's talking about suicide stories, basically, and the effects of that. on the figures and stats. So if you tell a sensationalized story where you mention method, location, all those kind of things, that will actually cause another 2 deaths in the 12-month period afterwards. If it's a celebrity and they report it like that, it's another 8 deaths. If you tell like a neutral story, you mention it's suicide, but you don't talk about the means and the location, and you just say they were a great person, that's fine. That's completely neutral. But if you tell success stories, people who have survived and have gone on and they're recovering and they've got a good job and they've continued their life, those sort of stories actually save another couple of lives every year. So it's about responsible reporting. We've seen it a lot with Caroline Flack recently. People some of them are hounding her.
That's heavy.
And the press, some of the press was saying, "Well, you're holding things back. We need to know how she did it." And it's like, you don't need to know that. That's
it's irrelevant.
That's not. It is completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it's about responsible press.
What's really sad is the media and whatnot. They forget, like they almost become unhuman.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're essentially contractually bound to sell newspapers, get clicks on articles, and I mean, ultimately that goes up against morality at times. That they have to get the clicks, they have to sell the papers, and if it means posting a sensationalized article so that they can hit their target for that month, that's what they're going to do. I think that's ultimately the world we're living in. At times it does. Profit doesn't exactly sit in line with ethos, with morality, and I think that's an unfortunate part of kind of where we've ended up in the modern world, is that ultimately, like we said, the sensationalized, the negative news is what sells, and it's very rare that you hear, like you said, for example, we don't hear about the survival rates of the coronavirus. We're much more likely to hear about the death rates, and it's I guess it's kind of understandable in the sense that you can understand why it happens, but it's kind of sad to see that that's the world,
especially right now.
And also, Facebook's a bit accountable for that, because if you start watching negative comments or you start reading sort of certain material, the algorithms are set up to keep pumping you the same material. And
over and over again,
And Nick Watson just sort of raised it, and I remember reading this article about a charity that's set up. So when young children or young people, teens in their 20s, are looking at negative imagery or negative memes, stuff that's about like how they're looking at themselves and how badly they look at themselves. This charity is geared up for sort of changing the algorithm, or changing the way Facebook operates, and actually changing the algorithm so that it does the opposite. So it actually sends more positive stuff, not continuing to send them the same stuff they're listening to. And I think that's like the next step of
hugely important.
And hopefully the media pipe up and stop.
Well, I think the media stuff of like celebrities now. I think once you're a celebrity, you're not kind of seen as a real person anymore. You're kind of just you're like fictional almost. Talking to a few people. I know one of the guys from Gaslight Anthem. I don't know if anyone knows heard of the band, but and talking to one of those guys, and he was saying to me, he was 27, he was a millionaire, he had done everything, achieved all his dreams, living in a mansion, and he was like, I don't know what to do now. I've achieved everything, and he actually sat by his pool and thought about drowning himself in the pool. And he think, but he was so isolated, because if they ever said that to anybody, they were like, "Come on, what are you talking about? You're living your dream." And you think, it's so hard for that. And he's such a brilliant guy.
Sorry, gents, just a couple of bits of housekeeping to do. There's a guy called George who's asked for a shout out, and given the nature of what we're talking about, I think it's worth mentioning. Shout out George Barrow. And one other thing I just wanted to mention was when we spoke about stoicism earlier, really good book recommendation for you guys. Darren Brown's new book is called Happy: Why More or Less Everything is Absolutely Fine. Fantastic book. It's kind of like a introduction to Stoicism 101, if you like, and it's in Darren Brown's voice, who's very listenable, and he explains things in a really, really interesting way. So if you haven't read it already, that's definitely on the list. Make sure you check that one out.
Nick Watson just said that there's a Facebook page called Positive News, which is really good as well. So it sounds good.
Well, that's why we just need to surround ourselves with. We control the controllable. So, we can control what we look at. We can control what we can help. If we spend our time looking at, I don't particularly watch the news anymore. I concentrate on what I'm doing with the charity or in the hair industry or helping the people around me as much as I can, because there's no point in me worrying about something I have no effect on. As much as that is still an issue, why do I need to worry about that when I can worry about making an impact to the people around us? And if we all do that, we can make more of a difference.
Yeah, it's a huge point.
Absolutely. And there's, Torquay, for instance, that we've got a cafe I go to a lot. It's called Weesup, and the guys down there,
They're legends.
There's like a bit of a lifestyle brand almost. I don't like saying the word brand, but the guys are just truly amazing, lovely guys. And you go in there and you can really talk. And they always promote in sort of communications and talking with the communities. They're always communicating with other bars, trying to sort of bring everyone together, trying to get people discussing. It's a completely different concept, and I really love it. And I want it to be.
They're amazing. We're actually going to hold a Barber Talk training session in there later on in the year. I was in there with them because our office is our office is actually above offshore. So I'll go over there for a coffee and that. And we're going to do a Barber Talk training session in there later on in the year. So if there's any hairdressers or barbers watching this and they want to get on, keep your eyes peeled because Public Health Southwest have funded for us to do some training sessions in the Bay. So we're going to do something,
That's brilliant.
It's if anybody is watching and they want to get involved in the conversation, we open this platform up on a regular basis to people. So if you're watching and any of this that we've been talking about has resonated with you, drop us a comment below, and we'd love to join you on the conversation. Don't worry, you don't necessarily have to come on with your camera as well. If you just want to kind of come on and ask a question, just
You didn't tell me that before I came on there.
You've got it, man.
What's
you did your hair especially, didn't you?
What like Andrew WK?
I got told like Anthony Kiedis the other day.
I love it.
I'll just say, are you a trained barber or a hairdresser? What's the difference? Sorry.
So I started off as a hairdresser as a Tony guy, and I self-taught barbering, and I just enjoy doing guys' hair more. I just kind of went down that path, and then ended up doing education in men's hairdressing and barbering, and then just developed that up.
And is there a female equivalent? No, I do. So there's a tiny
bit.
Of
so I mean, the reason why it's called Lions Barber Collective is because when I started it out, it was literally a one-off project. So we were going to do like a one-off project to raise money for a charity, and then I've decided suicide prevention and mental health, and I found out that suicide's the biggest killer in young people in the UK, and then 75% of them are men. So if you're under 45 and male, you're more likely to die of suicide than anything else, which is incredible, isn't it? So that's why it started off with the men's side of things. But as it's grown, I mean, the Barber Collective is to teach. We will train any hair professionals, basically, because we're all people, aren't we? But that's just how it started off with barbering, because I was more prevalent in the barbering industry. But eventually, I want to become, the Lions Collective, and as we grow, we're a very small charity. We don't have any staff. We're trying to get funding, sustainability. But as I see it going forward, we've made a fun, informative training session which saves lives. We can literally adjust that to anything where there's human contact and trust. So taxi drivers, tattooists, beauty therapists, anything like that anyone has that trust and relationship, we can then sort of change it slightly to bespoke to that industry and train them as well. So eventually I was trying to become the Lions Collective and just everybody's had the knowledge, really. And you can all go on the website for free and do the Barber Talk Lite training, which takes just under 20 minutes. It's 4 videos. It's easy.
That's why I asked earlier. I'm definitely gonna download that app tonight. I know I'm not a barber, it doesn't matter. If I can learn those skills, and I might not use it tomorrow, I might not use it in a year's time, but if I can use it in my lifetime, that's massive.
Yeah, being armed with that knowledge is massive, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a toolkit, isn't it? I thoroughly believe in. So we're all carrying a toolkit, and some of us have got less tools to be able to help navigate and help support people, or even just guide people to the right support. And it's just a case of always being out there and wanting to sort of feel and build that toolkit up. And any opportunity I get to do mental health stuff, I always try and take it. So yeah, no, Tom, thanks so much.
Tom, if people want to support the charity, I see you wearing one of the t-shirts there. Am I right in thinking that's all available on the website? So
yeah, it is all available on the website. You go to lionsbarbercollective.com, you can go on there, you can see there's a shop on there, which we're just doing a new range for at the moment, with Paul Richardson. I don't know if anyone knows him, local lad.
We know Paul.
So he's designed the new merch range for us. We can get the training on there. You can look at how you can book us for pop-ups and things that we do. And we've just finished filming a documentary called The £1.7 Million Haircut, because each so the cost of a death per suicide on the economy is £1.7 million.
Wow.
No way.
Yeah.
That is that's massive.
Huge.
never
And
knew
no one
that.
knows that. No one knows that. And it's very difficult because you can't put that's not a price on the life of that person.
No.
It's a price on, and I think it's something that we don't, and I mean, try and find out where that budget's coming from, because why is that money not being invested in prevention?
Like you
Yeah.
were saying earlier on at the beginning, you were talking about what you want to make it part of the curriculum, this sort of mental health awareness. I think it should just be part of the curriculum, full stop. Like, kids should be introduced to
definitely.
mindfulness. I know it's in primary
Yeah.
school. My nieces, they're in primary school at the moment, and they teach some mindfulness classes. But I know
Mindfulness stuff. It's fantastic.
it's not broad.
We were in Westminster recently for an APPG, and we were sort of discussing that and trying to get it into the curriculum somehow, going to the city and guilds and all the other governing bodies. But they sort of suggested maybe getting in touch with Ofsted and try and take it above that and get it in there. I mean, hopefully we'll be back. We met with the Minister of Loneliness recently. We're probably going to be back in Cutting Hair in Westminster Hall in September time, which will be about our 5th anniversary, and we're just going to keep on trying to push it forward because we want it to be in there. It does save lives, and like I say, as a charity, we want to grow and we want to train all the hair professionals. And if we can train another 500 hair professionals again via the Barber Talk app in the next 3 weeks or so, having long we're in isolation, when we go back to work, the industry's going to be stronger. We're reaching another 75,000 people every week essentially, and I think that's just so important. And hopefully they can look after each other on the community that we're building on the app as well.
Yeah.
Tom, just
Yeah,
before
what a
we
positive to come out of this situation.
invite any guests in, there's a couple of things that I wanted to mention that I'm sure you're being asked a lot about at the moment. If there are things that you can't be bothered to talk about, or you've been asked about too much recently, obviously we want to mention Chris Evans, the TED Talk, and your Royal Connection as well. Like I say, if it's not a topic you want to delve into, then we don't need to. But anybody that's
That's a
been
massive
following you for the
achievement.
last sort of year or so will have seen these things popping up. So is that something that you want to dive into?
Yeah, well, I mean, the Prince William thing was great for us. I mean, it was something that took a long time. I had a call randomly out of the blue from the Royal Foundation. There was security checks and then I got a phone call saying he's ready to meet you next week. It was Valentine's Day at this time, but so of course you drop everything for royalty, don't you? Go up there and the opportunity to do that and talk about what we were doing. He was a really great guy, really interested in what we were doing. I think for us it was a good bit of credibility towards what we're trying to do, reassuring that we're doing the right thing. The Chris Evans thing, that was I was on a podcast called Squiggly Careers, working with the girls Helen and Sarah, who made a book called Squiggly Careers. And they were the first females to have a Sunday Times bestseller business book. So they're amazing girls, and they went on there. They mentioned me on there. Chris Evans said, "Oh, we've got to get him in." So that was fantastic. He's a great guy. Still in contact with him, and they share a studio with TalkSport actually. So I should be going on TalkSport on the breakfast show. I was meant to go on the 1st of April, but obviously I'm not going anywhere at the moment. But those sort of things, it just leads one thing to another. It's really important to make the most of these opportunities, connect with these people, because they've got the power to get the message to so many more.
Yeah.
And you never know who you're going to help. Every time I take all these opportunities, because if there's, Chris Evans has over 1 million listeners. So if you go on there for 20 minutes and I talk about it, and that prompts one of those 1 million people to go, I need to talk to somebody, or it's okay for me to talk to somebody, then it's all worthwhile.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
you've got to take all those
That was-
opportunities.
we share the exact same message on this platform from day one when we started it. We said, look, boys, if we can help one person through the kind of underlying message that we've got with this channel of kind of mental health, kind of trying to bring people together. Obviously, we're in a unique time at the moment, and we recognize that we might be able to kind of make a difference for people. So for us, we set out with the mission to try and help one person, and obviously now this has completely surpassed our expectations on what we ever kind of expected it to be. So I think I empathize with what you're saying, that a little bit of your time can go a long way.
So we got a question
definitely.
from Rob Foster. Question for Tom. Mental health problems have been around since day dot, but do you think there was something significant that happened to bring it more to the public eye over the past couple of years?
I'm not sure. I mean, it's difficult for me because I'm kind of like, I lost a friend to suicide. I started the Lions Bible Collective, and it's like anything. Is if you go and buy a new Mercedes, and you see Mercedes everywhere. Do you know what I mean? When you're involved in it, for me, it's kind of my everyday life. So it just feels like it is everywhere at the moment. But when I talk to people, they don't necessarily, asking someone to talk about suicide is very difficult. But I do think it is becoming bigger. I'm not sure what the point of change was. For me, it was the point of me losing Alex when I realised we need to do something about it. But go on, carry on.
Sorry, I'm sorry. Again, there's a latency, so sometimes I think maybe you finished talking, so I pipe up because I've always got lots to say. Sorry. But, for me, I noticed a big change when social media came around and people could compare themselves to other people. And I think that's a
comparison's a thief of joy.
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
You could have the best day in the world. You get home, look on Facebook, and there's about 20 people who've had a better day than you, or it looks like they've had a better day than you.
People don't post all the terrible things that have happened during the day, do they? They post their incredible dinner that they've made or something.
Yeah.
Although that's usually the bad thing that I post. I wouldn't post. Luca puts the good dinner up.
We're actually trying to get Carly on. I think she's having a bit of an issue with the stream.
Yeah, I think she's struggling.
Oh man, that's a shame. I mean, guys, if you've got questions for Tom, please do like Rob Foster's done. Stick them in the comment section. We would all.
I think thinking about what Rob said. There was when William and Harry came out about their mum and said that they went through it. That Mind had, I think, 80% increase in phone calls that week.
Wow.
So I think people like that talking about it, that just shows the impact that it can have.
Yeah.
I think getting these, we don't have these kind of conversations happening between men on television and in films, and that's the biggest way of culture change, isn't it? At the moment, people watch television, people watch films, and they react and live that way because they think that's the way you have to live. So
these conversations don't make great TV programs. They do for me. I'm all about watching TED Talks about sort of self-evolution and wanting to support, but it's not big TV. Corey is.
I think what's powerful as well is like when we were talking about this stuff last week, and I said when I first found out that I had anxiety, I think I've always had anxiety. But after my first big panic attack, I went through a real struggle when I was like, I thought I was weird. I was like, why me? Like I've been normal for 21 years, and now this has happened, and I was like scared to leave the house and everything. And I think what helped me deal with it the most was talking to people and them going, me too.
Yeah.
And it just not normalizes it, but it makes you realize that we're all the same. We all have the same thoughts. You're not strange for thinking about that. But I think the more that we talk about it openly and say, look, it's all right, like just let's talk.
And Facebook sort of promotes that whole, but because people are leading this not all, some people sort of they embellish their lives, making them look better than they are, and then that compounds the issue of people thinking that okay, they're really good, so I should feel like this. It sort of gives you that. Yeah, it's just everyone needs to talk and be more authentic about.
Yeah, no one knows what's really going on in their lives, do they? They just think,
absolutely.
And want to talk to everybody, communicate. I love talking to everybody. Always
he does.
Sorry,
he does.
I listen. I love listening as well.
It's great. Yeah.
No, it's good to talk about these kind of things. Now, I mean, we had a situation where before our second son, we had a miscarriage, and Neil went on Facebook and did a live video talking about it because she said, because of what we do, she said, I think it's important that I tell people that I've been through this. And the amount of people that we know that contacted us and said we've been through exactly the same, we've had a miscarriage or we've had 2 miscarriages, you'd never know because it's a taboo subject that people don't talk about. Because they feel so negative about it and don't want to stigmatize, so they don't want to put other people down or put a burden on them. But actually, once you give them the green light, the biggest thing that I've ever done this whole Lions Bible Collective is telling people it's okay to talk to me. Once I've done that, I can't go out. I met Ash Hamilton and all that lockdown. They did the mail trail thing. I met them afterwards, and I was in Revolutions for probably about an hour, and I had about 6 people come up to me and say, "You're Tom. You're the guy that does mental health stuff," and then tell me, offload on me. And tell me stuff. And at first, when I first did this, I found it quite daunting. But now I feel honoured that people feel comfortable enough to talk to me about it. It's quite an amazing feeling, I mean, all we have to do is let our people around us know it's okay to talk to me. It's safe. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to tell you I know how you feel. I'm not going to tell you I know how you understand. I understand what you're going through. But I will listen to you without judgment and try to understand.
Do those conversations affect you when you, like you say, 6 times in an hour for people to come up and kind of talk to you about those sort of things? Did you find that sort of stuff rubs off on you? How
No,
how does that
I feel quite honoured now because I know how to deal with it and offload it myself. I know that if Dr. Peter Aitken, who we work very closely with, who's lead for suicide prevention for the Southwest and does a lot of stuff with RLNI and National Rail and stuff. He's a trustee of the charity, and I spend a lot of time with him. And he's there for me to offload on. So is my wife, so is my family. I know that how to deal with it and pass it on, if you know what I mean. Offload it myself. And I think I'm honoured that people feel comfortable enough to talk to me. I think it's just fantastic. I think my friends are a bit upset when I go out for a night with them and I don't spend any time talking to them. I'm with random people who are telling me their problems.
I'm sure they understand though, man. Like what you give to people by giving people your time. It's massive.
Yeah, and fair play to you, man, for having that side of your nature that you can do that with people. Like that's the reason I asked the question. I think a lot of people kind of can talk about this sort of stuff online, but if somebody comes up to you and says, "Look, I'm struggling," I think it's difficult sometimes. Like we said earlier, when I asked about asking those direct questions to people, it is a thing that people are kind of a little bit daunted by, and ultimately, kind of a lot of people they know they would like to help, but ultimately, when that conversation comes up, a lot of people aren't trained to have that conversation, and it can be difficult for people, I think. We've got
We're scared of the answer, aren't we?
We've got Carly in backstage at the moment, who I believe is a mental health nurse. So couldn't be a better guest for this stage of the podcast. So if you guys are up for it, I'm gonna bring Carly in and we can have a chat.
Absolutely.
Cool. Hey, Carly.
Hey, Carly.
Hello. Hi.
Hello.
You're-
How's it going?
Hi, Carly.
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. This is weird. This is the first time I've ever done this, so I hope you can hear me.
Thank you very much for joining us. That's it's really cool to have you on.
Pleasure.
You look cozy.
I'm very cozy. I'm up in my fleece tonight, so yeah. I'm
How's
good.
how's isolation treating you?
It's all right actually, because I'm quite introverted, so I'm quite enjoying it. If I'm honest, weird way. I'm here with a very violent kitten, so I'm trying to sort of tell her and calm her down a bit. But yeah.
Is the kitten your only company at the moment? Are you isolated by yourself other than the
Pretty
kitten?
much, yeah, pretty much my only company, but she's all right. She's called Missy after Missy Elliott, so she's all right. She's got the same attitude.
Yeah.
She's sassy.
Yeah, really sassy.
So, Carly, you mentioned in the comments earlier you're a mental health nurse, is it? Forgive me if I'm getting the
I'm an
terminology wrong.
mental health nurse. Yeah, basically, I did mental health nursing for 1.5 years. I did about 5 placements within different teams. And I actually had to come out of it because of depression and anxiety. I actually have a working diagnosis of bipolar as well. But I try my best to blog about it and basically raise awareness now.
How does that affect you, your bipolar? Do you mind talking about it? Is that too personal?
Yeah, it's fine. I'm really open about it. So basically, I get the depression and anxiety more than anything else now. I've had a few psychotic episodes. A month and a half ago, my cat passed away, and I had other stuff going on as well. I'd been in an abusive relationship and all that rubbish. So that's all done and dusted. But yeah, I was a bit of a mess basically, and I got admitted to Elderfield Hospital in Exeter for about a month. So yeah, I'm fresh off the system, as it were.
Did you
But I'm good.
The support that you received, did you feel it benefited you?
It didn't. There were times when, I'm not going to lie, I went up to have my medication and they didn't even have my medication right. I had to tell them. So there's definitely, I don't mean to be negative because the NHS are obviously doing a really good job, but there's good and bad in everything, I believe. I've actually been an inpatient in 2007 and 2008 in Haytor as well. So that was my last admission prior to this one. So I have had a lot of time in the community, getting
Fair play
better.
for coming on and talking about it with your just it. You're so open.
Right.
It's amazing. It's so incredible to listen to you, and just thanks so much for coming on and sharing your story. Because I know from last week we had similar discussions, and the amount of comments we had after the show in the comments section, people like yourselves coming on discussing it helped people listening and viewing. It was honestly, it made such a difference. Oh man,
I think the positive stories like that are amazing. They save lives to make differences. Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
And Tom, I just want to say to you personally that you have been instrumental in my recovery. I find you so inspiring. And what you were saying earlier, I could resonate so with. I actually know your brother Joe. I've known him for years.
Oh dear, poor you.
Really,
Joe.
get on
Good
really
old
well.
Joe.
Like, me and Joe are good mates. Like we're Parisians at heart. But yeah, I just want to say that everything you do is just so appreciated. It really is, because you help people like me so much, and other people like me, and whatever we all go through. You're right. It's a human condition. It's a human experience. And just 100% behind you and what you do.
Thank you, Kai. That means a lot. So much.
Yeah, you're a hero, man. You're a hero in our ranks.
Yeah.
So
Just
good.
doing what I got to do. Just doing what I got to do.
Also, Carly,
Yeah.
for coming forwards like that. Honestly,
Yeah, that's
I
amazing.
know 100% people that are watching that is going to resonate, and you would have 100% would have helped someone tonight with what you've just
Thank
said.
you. I hope so. That's what I want to do going forward. I mean, I'm now trying to get involved with the women's wellbeing team in Newton Abbot, and
Oh, great.
I'm trying to
Chris
give back
Martin.
now. So
Chris Martin set that
yeah.
up, didn't he? Does the
I
Andy's
think
Man
so.
Club and the women's well-being stuff. He's
Yeah.
amazing. Done some stuff
So
with him
I'm
in Exeter Prison. Great guy, local hero.
So, Carly, outside of the sort of internal workings of the mental health system, have you found what other support have you found that's been a real benefit that maybe you could pass on? Have you used any services? I know you.
I'd say support in the community. I'd say obviously big up the crisis team that you spoke about earlier. They've been instrumental in saving my life on a few occasions, and their main onus is to keep you at home and out of hospital and in the community, which I think is amazing, because I actually had a grandmother with bipolar, and she lived through it in the 70s, and you know, the care was just next to nothing back then. They tried, but it wasn't great. So I've sort of had the benefit of hindsight with that as well. But sorry, I'm getting off track a little bit. Say it again.
No, it's fine.
No, absolutely. It was so we're outside of the NHS systems and their support network.
Yeah.
Are there any like private, like independent companies or entities that have been support for you?
To be honest with you, I'm discovering a lot of it now myself, because I wasn't obviously expecting to go through this again.
Yeah.
But it sort of come as a surprise to me, really, that I had the insight, don't get me wrong. I knew I was getting on well again. I would say things like what you've been talking about tonight are invaluable, like things like meditation. I want to try the cold shower technique. That sounds amazing. And for me, I listen to a lot of ASMR, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, ASMR, it's a little bit weird. But I mean, I listen to it. It's invaluable to help me sleep, because obviously one of the triggers in bipolar is not sleeping. Can make you really, really unwell. So that's invaluable to me. And I think everyone's got their own ways that can help them. But there's so much out there now, and I think we're really breaking down the stigma now in current times, or we're at least trying to. And
I think that's what
difference
it's all
between
about,
them
isn't
now.
it?
Yeah.
I think that's what it's all about. It's like breaking it down.
Yeah.
Definitely. One thing I just want to throw in there quickly is I just want to say, if anybody's struggling or don't know where to turn, one really good one-stop signposting service is www.hubofhope.co.uk. If you go on there, type in your postcode, it lists all the resources, geographic order, so what's closest to you. So you can go on there, and it's everything from sort of depression services, suicide, gambling, all sorts of stuff. So that's a really good sort of one-stop shop, hubofhope.co.uk.
Nice.
Wow,
Just link that up in the comments. Yeah, guys,
Right.
might be worth jumping on there and bookmarking it for a later time. I think I'm definitely going to do that myself. Like I say, sorry, go on, Charlie.
Sorry, mate. I've got a bit of latency, I think. I do apologise. I don't mean to cut in.
That's all right.
I just wanted to know what ASMR was.
ASMR is auto-sensory meridian response, and it's basically having a lot of scientific evidence coming out for it now. It can be sort of triggers that it's the trigger that makes your hair stand on end. So it's not like, it sounds a bit dodgy. Some people see it as a sexual thing, which I find hilarious. But it's a relaxation technique. So, for example, some triggers can be the sound of rain. So it's very tied in with mindfulness. So it can be the tapping of rain. It can be the tapping of fingernails, which is one of my triggers because it reminds me of rain and it relaxes straight away. It puts me in a bit of a coma. It's just brilliant. And other things can be like, even like people looking through deliveries or the boxes and looking at different things, because it's all distraction at the end of the day. It distracts you from your mind. And late at night, that can be brilliant. Like when the demons sort of arrive, that can be really, really good.
Well, it's sort of touches on what Sam was saying earlier on with the cold showers and sort of taking you out of your current mindset and sort of externalizing and then coming back in with a sort of reset, I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's awesome. Thanks so much for coming on and sharing all that information as well. And hopefully, by us talking about it, or we can help others, or at least make people that realize that who are struggling, that it is okay to talk and that there is no stigma behind it. And
I think we're living in a world now where there's so much access to kind of various different resources, whether that's podcasts, books, videos, TED Talks around the topic. There's a wealth of information out there now, and I think ultimately, you can jump online, you can read the books, that type of thing. But in my experience, kind of if things do kind of get overwhelming, then I think that there's no replacement for having that kind of help there, whether that is professional help or whether that's just a friend that you talk to. Ultimately, kind of talking about these things is what kind of changes it, and I think that's kind of what we're doing with this platform, especially these Sunday night sessions that we're having. That's kind of our aim, is to just keep the conversation going. Obviously, we spoke earlier about the fact that this topic is kind of way more out there now than it was even a couple of years ago. And I think it's a good thing that people are having this conversation and getting the conversation out there.
Yeah, mate. It's Carly again. So thank you so much. Was there anything else you wanted to ask Tom?
Hi, Mitch. Just saying hi to Mitch.
got fans.
Hey.
Thank you. And look, you've got you're a part of a community here. Know that at any point, we're all running around in the background. If you ever want to reach out, and same with anybody listening, we love it. We've got a wealth of knowledge as a result of this, and we've got loads of charities we've been coming in contact with, and we're going to put I've got a list of about 50 or 60 local and national, international, national company organisations that are set up geared to support lots of people in different walks of life. But we also mentioned, obviously, the Hub of Hope? So check that out. We're going to make a nice post after this show, so they're all there. So if any of this has affected you and you feel like you might need to talk, we'll make sure all those links are available for you.
And yeah, definitely. Carly, just while we wrap up with Tom, I'm going to drop you back up, but thank you so much for joining us. It was really
thanks, Carly.
Thank you, Carly.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Guys.
Take care.
Tom, thank you so much,
Brilliant.
man, for joining us. Given kind of what you got going on at the moment, I really do appreciate you taking the time out to come and have a chat to us. I know we're a fledgling platform, but we're doing what we can, and I think we're, like I say, we're already overwhelmed with the response that we've had to this, but equally, thank you, man, for taking the time out and coming and chatting with us.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity, guys, for being involved. I think you guys are just smashing it. One of the top tips of mental well-being is connecting with others. And in this time of isolation and social distancing, you're creating this platform for people to connect with one another and feel like they're in a normal, everyday world. I think it's really powerful what you're doing. I think thank you guys for doing it, and I'll keep on spreading the word about it.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
Take care, guys. Thank
you
you,
very much.
guys. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Guys, in the comments,
Cheers, Tom.
please make some noise for Tom Chapman. Show us those clapping emojis. And guys, we'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. with another masterclass, 8 p.m. tomorrow night. We're doing this thing every day, every evening. Nice ones. Thanks for sticking around. Thanks a lot, guys.
Cheers, guys.
Catch you soon. Cheers.
Thanks so much. Cheers, guys.
See ya.
Bye, guys.